My name is Peter Weller. I'm a director of season 4, episodes 3 and episodes 10. And I'm leaning on an old, looks like an electric glide to me. I love directing television, and I've directed a bunch of it. And Kurt Sutter and I had a meeting, we have mutual friends. He wanted to bring me on board. I met with Paris Barclay, and Paris and Kurt are very egalitarian, tasteful guys, and it's been an honor here to work for them. The best part of directing anything is not necessarily a shot setup or some choreography, but it's the talent and power of the actors. Sons of Anarchy's arguably got one of the great casts ever assembled on television, and you just point them in the right direction and they create gold. They brought me platinum, and they're exciting guys to be around and exciting women to be around, gifted and very inventive. It's possibly been, I say with no rhetoric on it, the most wonderful experience I've yet had in the motion picture business. I've always been a fan of films. First of all, I was growing up. I started off as a jazz musician, so all my heroes are really musicians, classical and jazz and rock and roll musicians. I got into the theater because I couldn't be Miles Davis, essentially, and then I got into film through theater. And watching the film, I see that the orchestration of story was more tantalizing and interesting to me than performing within the story. That's not to say that I'll ever quit acting, because I love it, but I just love telling the story and weaving the story more. So Robert Redford invited me to the Sundance Institute about 20 years ago, and I went there and I developed a David Ray short play into a film. And then Chanticleer and Showtime gave me an opportunity to direct a short. I got nominated for an Oscar in 1995. And then it's been directing ever since. I love directing more than acting. I love storytelling more than performing. I love performing too, but I'd rather tell the story than perform in it. That said, if you're given great scripts, and Kurt runs a great ship, and he's a creator and a blessedly inventive guy, and they've got great writers, when you're given a script and you own it, you've got a cast like this, an ensemble like this, a crew as powerful as this. Plus what you got, guns and motorcycles and beautiful women, and a lot of drama. And I must say also on behalf of the women really essentially drive a lot of the arc of the show. They're not just sort of the marital appendages of the plots. They are the galvanizing force of a lot of the arcs of the show. When you have talent like that, then to be able to suggest something that you want to see an opera of a small scene, you want to turn a 4-character 3-minute piece into Turandot, or into something by Verdi or Tennessee Williams, these actors will do it. And subsequently, it's that I don't have to tell these actors a lot to watch them take the ball and run with it. They're explosive actors. My favorite scene so far that I've shot, other than orchestrating a motorcycle chase, there's a kitchen sink scene between the two women. And has Elia Kazan, who's a mentor to me, said that a really good actress is infinitely more interesting than a so-called great actor because they're just more accessible. So there's a scene where Katie Segal as Gemma is trying to wheedle Tara, played by Maggie Siff, into a particular point of view to realize that she is not part of legit Americana, that she is, whether she likes it or not, part of an outlaw gang. And so I suggested the physical life to them, and I love physical life because physical life of an actor, if they're well trained and they can do it, of course they have to rehearse it first, like starting up the motorcycle, I take off my hat while I say these lines, I gotta kind of time it, but once I start getting into it, then what happens is the physical life starts driving the immediacy, the urgency of the scene. It'll just propel it, just like we do in life. Nobody's really standing around in a close-up. So I suggested to Katie that she makes cereal through the whole scene for the 4-year-old child, and that Maggie changed the diaper of the baby. And so both of them compelled or thrust into this immediacy of getting this cereal made to feed the older kid, get the diaper changed on the younger kid. Because the physical life was so rich, the emotional life and their confrontation was even richer. Because if you ever notice, the angrier you are, the more you really wash those dishes and talk to your loved one. And they just took to it like gold. I mean, Katie's in the ice box pulling out the thing, looking for spoons. Here's the bowls. She's punching Tara psychologically the whole time. Tara's like deflecting her while she's changing this baby's diaper. Finally, they both end up with the cereal made, the baby diapered, and they got nowhere to go except to go, I gotta get out of here. And they split. And that was possibly, so far, the most rewarding scene because those two actresses made it sing so much, and they were just so, the caliber of their investment was from A to Z. They just went from, they ran the emotional gamut in something like 3 minutes. And you can't give that kind of work to a beginning actor, actress. You have to be seasoned to do it. You have to know what you're doing in a room. You have to have some experience in the theater. You have to have some experience in the long haul of a scene, not just doing a bunch of close-ups, standing around, what I call standing around direction. The best thing that theater or film or television work can teach you is, to rip off Laurence Olivier, is love. You're working with people, you're working for someone, and people are working for you. And when I was a younger man, I was very impatient. It was my way or the highway. I stepped on some toes. I made some amends too, but nowadays, the fish stinks at the head, as they say in Sicily. The pesce puzza comincia alla testa. You get great writers. You have an extraordinarily loving guy, Kurt Sutter, as a creator, who's married to an extraordinarily gifted and sweetheart of a human being, Katie Sagal. And the cast is made up of workers, and they want to work. And the best thing that I can take out of it is love, and the best thing I can give is love. And come away with, having made a contribution to something that is as wonderful as Sons of Anarchy. Does this go into other gigs? Sure. You always hope that your work is seen, liked, you're hired again, you go on and you work forever and ever. For me, I'm going to work until I'm 102. And about 102, right after I finish my last gig directing, I'm going to be sitting on my terrace in Positano, Italy, having a cappuccino, looking at the island of Capri, the islands of Italy, where Ulysses heard the song of the sirens. And I'm going to go, thank you, God, cack. But I leave you with this. I'm going to have a baby in 3 weeks. And that's been the greatest gift of all of working on this show.